The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to today's release webinar. We're excited to have you. There are some amazing and incredible changes and upgrades and updates to the CharityEngine platform in this release that we've codenamed Yellow Claw. As you can see by the Y, we're getting to the end of our series of B superhero names for our releases. So stay tuned for once we get to the end of the alphabet, what you can expect to see in the next go round. But speaking of superheroes, we've got a pretty superheroic thing that we added in this particular release, and that's the email editor, the new email editor. What we've added is incredible functionality, incredible ease of use, and the ability to just go in, easily make emails, easily edit emails, refine them, and so forth. But we've also left the ability to use the old editor for those who have existing emails that you want to use. And as you can see in the top area is the click here. That will take you to the old editor on any of your existing emails. So the two are not backward compatible. You cannot edit old emails in the new one. You can see it, you can send it, but it doesn't have the same editing functionality. But you have both. And if you have questions about how that works, again, feel free to always reach out to your client services team. We are here to help you make the best of this. But we really wanted to get this email builder in time for the end of the year, so people could easily whip up emails if needed, if they have ideas, campaigns you want to run. We wanted you to quickly and easily be able to do that. So the things we're going to go through, everything that you saw in the release information, the enhanced email editor, the ability to do customized dashboards, some optimizations, some suppression capabilities, a lot of great stuff. But we're going to start here with the email editor. I know that's one of the most exciting things. I encourage everyone to go in there and play around with this tool. The wisest thing I recommend you do is go ahead and create a template. Anything you create, as you can see here, has a button. Once I've already created this, but it has a opportunity to save as a template. So feel free to go ahead and do that. That way you can always refer back. As you see, I've already created a template with CharityEngine and my information at the bottom. So play around with this, get used to it. Easy to add in images. We go here, we're highlighting the image area. I go in, I want to find an image to change to. I've got my group right here. I'm going to go ahead and enter that picture. And now I've got that image. I can go ahead and make edits. What's great is once I'm here, I can go into the edit image button and do a little work to it. So lots of capabilities. Once you really get into it, you'll realize how to do image links. So if somebody clicks on that image, where they'll go. Also the ability to do things like padding. So for sizing issues, perhaps we'll show with this. I can go to padding down here. I go to options, and that'll allow me to make things bigger and separate areas and so forth. So the best thing you can do is play around with it. The content capabilities, I can go ahead and I can insert images just by doing things like that. I can, and you see I just added an image. If I don't want it, I go ahead and delete it. I can go ahead and click on it. I can move it around as needed. So lots of great things there. But content's what you'll move over. If you want to create new sections, that's where structure is. Structure is if I want to add a full bar right down here, I'll go ahead and do that. If I wanted to have double bars up here, I go ahead and do that. Once I've got that layout, I go ahead and I can say, let's put an image there. Let's put a text block there. And you know what, for charm's sake, let's go ahead and put a divider under there. So lots of cool things you can do, social buttons as well. I just recommend go in, play with it. It is easy to use. We've provided information on how to use it. If you go up here, we have the new email editor. And also our release explainers. Always check that flag for information that pertains to you and that could be helpful. So That's primarily it. The best thing you can do is play around with it. You've got your preview to see how things look in the desktop view. How are they going to look in mobile view? They look terrific. One of the reasons we wanted to incorporate this tool was because it really helps with optimizing on any screen, any device, whether you're working in PC, Mac, Outlook, Gmail, all of it will render properly. And we know that's a big saver for everybody. As you go in and make edits, just quick things to think about as you build out your template. What you see here, you can go ahead and look at your old creative. If you recall, you had your images like your logo. Right here I have my logo. I copied that. Go ahead and copy that. I moved that back here, and when it says where's the URL for that, I copied that. So that was a way I could really quickly recreate the templates that I've already created in CharityEngine. Again, play around with it. We're going to do a video just on how to use this on its own, but I think you'll all find really easy to use, and it's terrific. So moving through, and again, if you have to go to the old editor, click here. That will take you to the old way of what you're used to. That will take you to your existing templates. Go ahead and open that. I can click, and I could still use the system the way it was, so no change. If you're used to using code and pasting in code, this is where you can do it. We've just now given you the opportunity to use HTML, but also an easy-to-use WYSIWYG. So moving along, and also always feel free to ask any questions. I'm here to answer them. Hopefully this one was covered pretty well. One last thing I want to make sure that we remind you of with the new editor is that we have added emojis. This is a huge thing, I'm told by the kids. So you go ahead and click on an emoji, and you can add a particular emoji that you want to include in it, and select whatever kind of image you want, and that will add that. Just because there's an emoji here, that will not be in your subject bar. It's only there if you select one and save it. That's just a reminder that that's where you go to do it. It's very popular. Celebration emojis, whatever you want, you can do it all. So very excited with what's going on there. Moving down the line, we wanted to show you our dashboard capabilities, our home screen dashboards. Just to be clear, I just got a question, which was how do you get to plain text in the new editor view? The new editor view, just to be clear, you can clear out everything by deleting and then moving HTML over, and then it will, so just to show what that means, I could delete everything in here, and we're going to give you a scrape. There will be a button that's added that's clear all, so you can go down to scrape it, but you can always just move over your content, HTML, into an area, and now you've got an HTML block and you can paste it there. That's one way, or go to the old editor and do it just like you used to. So if you have any questions, obviously reach out to client services, but hopefully that explains how you can utilize. If you're creating, I know a lot of our designers create in other tools. That's how they get some of those really incredible designed emails. Particular our agency friends. So that is one way you can continue to do it and still have everything you had in CharityEngine before. The home screen dashboards over here, as you can see, this is my home screen, and I've created a new dashboard. You recall the ones that are there before normally when you log in, but we're going to do a video on in a webinar on how to create dashboards, but we wanted to show you that capability now exists right here to add them into the home screen. You can go ahead and click this button to build new dashboards, edit your dashboard here, or even hide dashboards if you want. So you can close out ones you don't want, etc. And there's also ability to filter and look at data and look at the data in more ways. Again, we're going to focus on that in a different webinar, but just wanted to show you this is part of giving you more data at your fingertips with CharityEngine. Okay, moving along, wanted to talk about email suppression tools. So We obviously have global suppression, and we'll show you where that gets created. But you have global suppression if there's certain groups you always want to suppress. Maybe somebody who's tagged with major giver, do not contact. However you set it up in CharityEngine, there are existing global suppressions. But we also have the ability to create non-global suppressions and more granular. And what you do is when you do an email blast, as I click off, it's going to give me an opportunity to have a suppression query. And what that means is every time, so if I send to a particular query and it's got all these people, I can have a suppression query built just like you build your other queries, and that will eliminate everybody who's in that group. So when you send, it will not include people in this particular query. So maybe I have AEMS query as an example. Now everybody in that query will not appear in this in a send. That functionality exists in a few places. We go over here to when we send. If you recall from our last webinar, we've added in the peer-to-peer capabilities, the ability to send, if you've got your team pages, everybody here, we can go ahead and send emails directly to that. Same capability works in events. I'm not going to show you there for event registrants. Not going to show you both because they're very similar. But as you can see, I go to the More button, email fundraisers, and then I can get granular and say I only want to email fundraisers for particular events, or so forth, fundraiser microsite, based on team captains only, non-team captains only. So if you didn't see that before, a lot of incredible abilities to email people right from the peer-to-peer section based on how much money they've raised, percent of goal, and so forth. Also, I can do personalization default here. So it normally defaults to friend, or whatever your global one is that I'm going to show you. But maybe if this is a peer-to-peer event where it's a cook-off, maybe you want your default, and a default would be if the person's first name doesn't exist, if you don't have it. So for a first name dynamic, it's going to say dear, if this is a cook-off, dear cooks. And that way it will always supplement that information with cooks. So one more area to do default values for names. But here I can go ahead and say, okay, for my peer-to-peer, I actually want to change that suppression list. I'm going to go off. Then when I go to send it, it takes me obviously to the email blast tool that we're used to. I go in down here, it's selected as off. Then I just go ahead and pick the suppression query. So if you have questions about suppression query, again, reach out. But for those of you who understand this and utilize this, and most of you do, or at least those who are responsible for your sending, this is a great way to control at a more granular level based on what you're sending from, why you're sending, etc. Now we're going to look at audience values. So we talked about that cooks before, that if you're sending to a peer-to-peer group that is people who are doing a cook-off, you want to call them cooks as a default instead of first name. Normally it says Dear Lee, but if they don't have my name for some reason, it could be Dear Cooks. We now have at the list level where you can do granular default values. And to show where you might do that, I've created a list called Education Professionals. If you know where you create your list, obviously in list management, opt-in lists. So I've got this list called Education Professionals. Let me zoom this, make it a little more visible for you. And let's go ahead and manage. Okay, and now I've got audience tag defaults. And what I did was I created an audience tag for first name as educator. So that way, if I'm sending it to education professionals, I may not want to say dear friend. I might want to say, if they don't have the first name. So normally dear Lee, they don't have my first name. Normally we might say dear friend. Now this is where I say for this list, let's call them educators. So if the default value here is educator, and very easy to do and assign. Maybe I want to change something like address state name, and I'll add that, and we'll call state and we'll change that to your area. So that's what it's going to fill in. I go ahead and save. Now that way, if there's, maybe I'm setting it and I want it to populate the state is Maryland, so it's going to say to people like you in Maryland, but we don't have the state information for some reason, it'll say people like you in your area. So we're able to do that at the list granular level. We're also able to do that at the global level, and that is under default settings under campaign. So right here under the, again, make this bigger for everybody. In the configuration section under default settings, under campaigns, we're going to have general, unsubscribe, and then audience tag defaults. So here you might have first name as friend. So that would be my global. But you can, maybe if you wanted to make it, instead of friend, we make it amigo. That every time it fills in, you want it a little bit more personalized, and it's going to say amigo. So so that is, sorry, I'm reading a question that just came in. Default campaign setting answer, good. So the question, and I'll read it, and I thank you for asking it because it's a good one. The question had been, is audience tag defaults available under queries if we use those for emails? And as we said, you can do it at the campaign level. You can do it right here. So moving along to our next section. And again, I pointed out the default audience values for peer-to-peer. Events works in the same way. Skipping ahead for some of the, I'm going along with the images we sent you under the, from the release explainer, so making sure we're touching over everything. So this is a great new feature. Moving along. Okay, for those of you who utilize our widget generator, and a widget generator, if you don't know what it is it allows you to create fill-in widgets for subscriptions. Maybe you say, instead of people may not be giving you contact information through a form or whatever, but you want to say, hey, we want to be on our email newsletter list, give us your email address. And what you can do is create widgets that say, they're going to be on my, by virtue of this, they're going to be on newsletter recipients, but I also they may have come in through a particular page, and I want to have a unique widget there that I also can say they're also going to be on the list JWC 8th Night or Kelly's Friends. So now you can get more granular with that control. And then I obviously down here select the fields. So it automatically is going to ask for email. I also want their first name, their last name, and their city. And that way it will create a form that I can, with code, and I'll show you what that looks like, that we just plop that into a page, and now you've got your HTML code. What we've added here is response channel. So for instance, online, maybe social. And what that means is by having response channels, we can tell how people came in when they filled out that information. The beauty of this widget generator is you don't have to have just a standard email subscribe across every page. You can actually use the landing page that they're filling out that information. That is a specific page to give you more usable data. They filled out one that had to do with, obviously, newsletter, but JWC 8th Night or Kelly's Friends. Maybe it has to do with they were Air Force. They were giving us that information. So we're adding that, but we're also saying this is the channel that came in because maybe the landing page is based on social media. So we can assign that as well, that it came from a Facebook post or what have you. Again, if you have questions, please reach out. The reason we do this is just so people can be aware of what's in there and know what's there. A question that came in, will a campaign level default override the setting on the update default campaign setting? Will the campaign level default override the setting? The campaign level default will override the default setting. Yes. Just making sure I understand that. Yeah, for a dear friend, that will override, if you have it at the campaign level, that will override whatever the system default is. So it allows you in those particular instances to say, hey, even though we always call them friend, in this case we want to refer to them as amigo. Okay, moving along. And thank you for the questions. Please ask them. The goal of this is to make sure everybody is an avid, great user of the CharityEngine tool. One of the things we added in peer-to-peer is PayPal integration. So as you can see here, when I go to a donate page, it now gives me the opportunity for PayPal, and then I go to PayPal checkout. So we've added that in. That's something we would have to configure for you on the back end. But once it's there, you can make the selection of where you want that to appear. And so just so you're aware of that. Moving along a little farther, this is a great new feature we've added in terms of use with the user center. A lot of our clients are starting to use the user center. If you're not, please reach out to us. We'd love to show you how it works and what it does. It's a donor portal. But what we've done is tie the user center into the subscription, the unsubscribe from emails. So now, and I can't show you the email because I closed my email because I don't want to get emails during this webinar. But when you get the email on the bottom, it has a little unsubscribe. When I click that, now if you've connected, if you've got the user center and you've so selected, they'll come here and they can select whether they want to unsubscribe from all, or they can select particular newsletters or email, email lists that you've put them on. It doesn't have to be every one. We only show the ones you would want them to see, because they may be on lists that they're not aware of. That's for your own internal purposes. So part of the user center allows you to just display certain lists. And as you can see here, I can go ahead and I can say, no, I actually don't want to unsubscribe from all. And I don't want to unsubscribe from that, just want to unsubscribe from that. I click confirm, and that will take care of that. So if you got questions around that, please reach out to us. So one of the questions is, who's the best person to contact to get the PayPal feature set up? If you work with a particular, if you have a technical project manager who's assigned to you, you always work with, then you want to reach out to them. They'll be able to help start that process. If you don't, reach out to client services, Brian Moser and his team. They will be able to get you on the path to getting that configured. We've also added one-click giving in peer-to-peer, and now that was the end of my my open tab. So I'm going to go over here to peer-to-peer. Show you what we have, what we've done. Let's say on this particular microsite, go to Options under General, and you can see that we have Enable One-Click Giving. So now with particular microsites, you can allow one-click giving. That has to be set up, but once it's set up for you, then you can determine on your own granular level with each particular microsite whether or not you want to have it, and that's just a yes or no toggle. And we've also added it in the Forms area. Again, this has to be set up for you, but once it is, we'll open up our form. We go to Advanced, and then we've got Enable One-Click Giving. So that's what we added in this go-around, was the ability that you can control that at this level for every form. So one-click giving, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, what it does is it allows us to recognize when somebody was given before, when they come back and they go to give, you can automatically offer them the chance to bypass all the filling out form information, say, would you like to use the card ending in XYZ, or they can enter a different payment amount. Again, reach out to the client services team for help with that. But that's a great new feature which saves time and facilitates the chance that a donation gets made. So I believe that covers everything that we had. I wanted to do this as quick as possible. But again, all of that information, if you want the release explainer, check up here, the new email editor doc that's going to walk you through how to use the new email editor. We're really excited about it. We know that that's always been a challenge for those without incredible HTML skills. And some of you do have phenomenal HTML skills. But for those who want to quickly fire off an email, edit an email, and so forth, this allows you to really easily just go ahead and create new emails. So thank you for being part of this. If you have any questions, I'll stay on just a little bit longer. I appreciate everybody who did ask. We are going to have one more release before the end of the year. We obviously don't do anything in November, December. We do not want to impact your season of giving. But please reach out to us. We're here to help. We want to make CharityEngine the most powerful tool it can be for you. If anybody missed part of this or your team missed it and this would be beneficial for them, this will be up on YouTube, hopefully by the end of the day on our YouTube channel. And if you want to know about where to access the YouTube channel, very easily, we go to the home screen. And as you can see now, my home screen has my new dashboard. I don't have the old one. So this is what pertains to me. But you can access our YouTube channel right down here, watch our YouTube channel, and that will give you the link directly to it. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for being part of the CharityEngine family. And if there's anything we can answer, please let us know. Please reach out. This is a people-powered tool. It's you, it's us, and making the best tool we can. So thanks, everybody, and see you soon.